is, like, we throw this word around, democracy, all the time. It gets thrown around constantly, and I don't know how many people really know what a democracy is. Democracy is kind of what you've been living through. I can't imagine anybody in Gen X, Millennials, or Zoomers, of the three, for real, of the three generations, I can't imagine anybody in any of those three generations wanting a democracy, for real. Because, see, you've been living through a democracy right now, directly. Who do you think has been voting for all of this for 50 odd plus years, all of this disaster, right? It's been the boomer generation. Now, this isn't me just bashing the boomers, okay? This is, this is just, I'm stating this as a fact, right? What you're living through is majority mob rule, right? Because, see, the largest block of voters is boomers. They have been voting for all of this shit for decades and decades and decades and decades, okay? Gen X is too small a generation to make any kind of dent in anything, way too small a generation. So then there's millennials, okay, well, but many of them, haven't really been paying much attention to all this stuff either. And even if Gen X and millennials and Zoomers got together, it would be very close as to whether or not we could even outvote boomers at this point still. So what you're experiencing right now is full-blown democracy. All of you out there, all you millennials, Gen X, Zoomers, you guys are all experiencing right now what democracy actually is. Mob rule. It's whoever is the largest group of people voting for whatever the fuck they want. And if that means you get to go broke and live in a shitty economy, then you get to go broke and live in a shitty economy. That's democracy in action. That's exactly what it is. Let's contrast that with a republic. Okay, a republic, or a Republican form of, which has nothing to do with the Republican Party. Republican form of government, okay? What that means is rule by law. That's exactly what that means. It means that laws don't just keep changing randomly whenever we want. We have a handful of laws, we just, a bare few of them, and then you leave people the hell alone. And as I explained, I don't know, 2-3 videos ago, I talked about this idea that you're supposed to have very few laws. You're not supposed to have, like, what, 80 million plus laws on the books right now? You're not supposed to have that. You're supposed to have just a handful. And the reason you do that is because we can't all agree on what we should be doing. We can't. It's not possible. We can agree on a handful of things that we should not be doing. We can agree on a handful of things that the government should not be doing, such as, okay, so the idea is that government shall not, inhibit free speech, okay? Or, and of course, nowadays, of course, they just use proxies like, private companies to inhibit free speech. They use, shills like Elon Musk, apparently, and others. So, but that's a different video for a different time. But my point is that you guys who are experiencing democracy in action right now, okay, I can't imagine why you would want that. It's sort of like, I've never understood why it is that I see so many millennials and Zoomers screaming, we need to get rid of the Electoral College, as if you guys know what you're talking about with this. Of all the groups, millennials and Zoomers and Gen X, right, you are experiencing what it would be like to have a small group of people who are completely out of touch with anything that you're doing in your life, voting to destroy you constantly, right? Voting to constantly, completely print money, pay for endless wars, pay for, all kinds of government programs, to just pay for all this shit that there's no way to pay for any of this, okay? Which is why I get accused by the left of being a rightist. I get accused by the right of being a leftist. I get accused, by the anarchists of being a statist. And it's like, dude, no, I'm one of these guys that asks a really simple question. How the fuck are you going to pay for any of this shit? That's it. That's it. So when you start asking how you're going to pay for shit, well, that pisses everybody off. Everybody gets all upset about it. Like, oh, I don't know. Because they don't know how they're going to pay for any of this stuff. Because they have to print money. They have to conjure out of nothing. That's exactly what happens. And you're experiencing all of that right now because they're just voting to do all this shit, which is why your life sucks. Okay, so for all you people out there, millennials, Gen Xers, I'm seriously, I'm talking like 80% of Gen X is just as fucked as all the millennials. Okay, it's a huge number, and Zoomers and so on. Like, you guys are just as screwed. Well, you're experiencing this of what it would be like to not have an electoral college and just have, like, I don't know, 5 states pretty much just suck all the wealth out of the other 45 states in that example. Okay, so in fact, actually, what you should be pushing for is to expand the idea of an electoral system into each individual state. For example, where, hey, each county has like 2 votes and so on, something to that effect. You get the idea. That what that would be is trying to decentralize power as much as possible. You don't want centralized power. You get this shit. All of this shit you're experiencing, you get all this shit. For the people out there that say, no, well, this is what we need to have, the government take everything over. You mean and do this shit? Because this is exactly what you'll get. You'll get just more of the same. Remember, the outcome for anybody that's actually part of the productive working class is always the same. It's always the same outcome. I don't care what ism you call it. The outcome is going to be the same every single time until you deal with the money issue and you start asking the question, how the fuck are you going to pay for it? And then when you get somebody who's honest, they say, well, I guess you're right. There's no way to pay for this. Exactly. Then shut the fuck up about it. Shut the fuck up about your programs. Shut the fuck up about your space program. Sending, dude, fuck off. Okay. Shut the fuck up about about all these other programs, endless wars to blow up little kids, for Israel and all, and dude, there's no money to pay for any of this shit. That's the part of it. That's right there. If you're going to keep counterfeiting the money, which is what everybody seems to be doing right now, and again, that's who's voting for that shit. It's not me. I'm not voting for that shit. I have been railing against this for the better part of 30 years now. So it's not me, telling people to do this. No, we should not be doing this. We should not be doing all these things. So who's voting for all this shit? Yeah. So there you have it. That's how democracies are different from a republic. A republic is supposed to be the limited government. The idea that it's why Rome, for example. I think if I remember right, I'm going from memory here. It's been a long time since I've read this, but they have they had the idea of I think it was the 12 tables of Roman law, which was the Athenian philosopher Solon, who came up with that idea. Now the Greeks didn't adopt that, but the Romans did, and they said, okay, listen, let's have a few laws that restrict the government, and if we do that, then the idea is we leave people alone. That's it. Now some people, they don't want to be left alone, or they want to be left alone, but then they want somebody else to do all the work for them. Sound familiar? That's how it is, right? Everybody wants somebody else to do all the hard work for them. They don't want to do any of the work themselves. They want somebody else to do it. And they want all the illegals to do it. Who will till the soil? The slaves, of course, right? I mean, that's just how it works. So before you guys, start thinking about, next time you hear somebody going on about democracy this and threat to democracy that, and we need to protect our democracy, and so, we're not a democracy. The word democracy doesn't appear anywhere in the Constitution. It doesn't appear in any of the 50 states' constitutions either. That word doesn't even appear. It's effectively a made-up word that was invented. Well, I mean, it's Greek, but I'm saying it's a made-up word in our lexicon in the U.S. because that wasn't what it was supposed to be. We were never intended to be a democracy. The founders did everything they could to keep us from having a democracy because of the exact thing you're seeing right now, where you have just a large group of people who just are going to continue to vote away and take away your economy, take away your ability to own houses, all that kind of shit. That's all directly related to all this. See you next time.